Good morning, friends. Hope you are doing well. We got one day left in the market here. It's been a super duper week here. Yesterday we had a lot of big earnings. Apple, Netflix reported they're going to do a stock split 10-1. Apple, I think just said Apple. What else reported earnings yesterday? Oh, yeah, Amazon, huge earnings there. And that's probably just going to get even bigger on Q4 because of the holidays. Apple with that too. So, talking about Palantir and SoFi, let's go right into Palantir because, obviously I'm going to talk about SoFi, but, we're getting into Palantir conversation. Palantir is probably about to take up the headlines for the next 2 weeks because of what is generally about to happen. So, Palantir, next Monday, they will be reporting earnings. And I think everyone and their mother is looking at this and going, they're going, how big are these quarterlies going to be? This is the general conversation right now with this company. It's going to be crazy. With that too, we have seen these investment firms come out with crazy new evaluations, and that is the key word here. Valuation, how much valuation is Palantir worth right now? And that is where huge arguing starts, where there's still people going, I am not paying $200 a share for a company that is barely producing $1 billion quarterly. And I get their conversation, but what I do know too is that maybe they're not obsessed like some of us with Palantir. Maybe they're not tracking all the deals. They're not, looking at everything that's been going on here, and that's totally okay. I can't help that someone's not, doesn't have problems. They're not obsessed like some, me and maybe some, that are listening to me. What I'm saying here is that Palantir undoubtedly is in this zone of it's not stopping, okay? And that's what is making it so expensive. It's still been getting deals since the last few quarterlies. It has not stopped. It's actually getting more intense. They're getting bigger and better deals. With that, we just saw this Nvidia situation start up. By the way, this investment firm just came out and said, hey, we think Palantir 240, that's pretty easy at this point. Then we're seeing a lot of companies, companies too, but these analysts in these articles being written saying, hey, we're hearing word on the street through the grapevines in Wall Street, hey, we think there could be a stock split in the near future with Palantir. Now, somebody's going to hear me say that and they're going to go, that's just dumb. That's just dumb. I get where people look at that and go, that's ridiculous. But this is a very, very big situation. I don't think that we will really even... I can't imagine they will do a stock split, at least be talking about it until Q4 to round out the year. I would imagine they would want a whole year out to see where the stock is, what they actually did here in 2025, and obviously this will be later in the beginning of next year when we get Q4 here, but I imagine they will wait. Now, what will the stock price be at that point? I don't know. I really don't know. But, analysts are really putting up big numbers right now, what they think, so listen, my two biggest projections with Palantir were $100 and $200. We have hit those. Okay. I don't know if you know, but Palantir, yeah, it hit $2 at market here just for a split moment, and pre-market hit it too. The newest thing right now is this love triangle. It's not even a love triangle. It's a real love life right now with Palantir and Nvidia. I've talked about this, so I don't want to talk about it too much more. And it's kind of old news. It's new news, but it's old news because everyone knows about it at this point. But Palantir, Nvidia working together. Obviously for Nvidia, great, fantastic. But for Palantir, this is so great for investors because this is just another partnership. This is just another thing that's happening with Palantir. I don't think that talking about a stock split with Palantir is insane. I really don't. In the last 8 years, Tesla's had at least 2 stock splits. Nvidia just came off one last year. They've had many more than that. Companies, especially tech companies, they have stock splits. Apple has a split every 6-7 years. They'll probably have one here next year, the rate they're going right now. What we're seeing right now is just how nature repeats itself right now. We have a brand new killing it tech stock that is it's not stopping. It's not stopping. This is why I get confused when I see people betting against Palantir right now, because I go, are they not seeing what I'm seeing? How are they not seeing that Palantir is still getting massive deals right now? Well, why are they betting against this? It's really interesting. And right now I don't look at Palantir and I go like, I don't think there's any reason to look at a candlestick chart and break it down and be like, if they get a little more volume right here, you see there's a gap right here, if they can fill this gap, none of that matters. It doesn't matter. Like if somebody's breaking down a stock, a candlestick chart here of this stock, it doesn't matter, because what matters is the hype. All of the people wanting just to get in this for swing trades, day trades, long-term trades. There's a very real conversation right now where this stock, maybe that 240 prediction that analyst company came out with here, and there's more, like you can look it up. It's not like it's secret here. 200 buckaroos here may be cheap in 6 months. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Palantir it's special, and that may hurt, some people to hear that, but it's a special situation. When this third quarterly comes out, it's going to be very telling of where we can go with Q4, because you have to, I don't want to say this too much because I'm going to sound like a broken record, but there's been deals here recently that will not fully probably be on this next quarterly. So that's already telling us from this quarterly to the next one, and especially whatever happens in between here, Q4 is going to be loaded up as well. It's going to be very interesting. In 2 years, Alex Karp has talked a lot about a sales force, but he's talked about it in maybe a way that people aren't, aware of. Palantir, Alex Karp, the CEO here, he's said recently in some interviews this year where he talked about, Palantir really hasn't set out a sales force. We really haven't done that. And, that's something that we want to maybe look into. Now, what's interesting is that recently, last week, when Palantir locked up this deal with Lumen, Alex did an interview with the CEO, and she said, Alex walked into my office. He told me what they could do for my company, save us money, make us money. Proof was in the pudding, it's working, and there was a deal signed. Okay, well, that right there in a sense is a sales force. That is Alex going out and saying, hey, we want to work for you. Let us do this. That didn't have to happen, but it happened. And that's going to be just more on what's coming here. It's a very interesting situation. It's not that I'm saying that Alex is going to be their sales force, their CEO, where he's just going to go door knocking here. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I would imagine, if Palantir finds itself in 2026, it's already in the S&P 500. Okay, great. The stock is who knows at what number. Okay, great. They're coming out with insane quarterlies. Okay, great. Maybe by that time we're at 50% over each quarterly. Okay, great. Then Palantir comes out somewhere next year and says, hey, we've actually, we're setting out Salesforce. We're looking for more business. We're trying to get our revenue basis to point this. And that really jumped. That's just like throwing gasoline on a fire already. There's still a lot of cards to be played here. I think that's what I'm trying to relay to you right now. There's still a lot of cards that are up the sleeves of Alex Palantir themselves. And that's what's really interesting right now. So, more than likely, I know this next quarterly billion point five, billion and a half. Is that what we're looking at? Are we looking at more? It's interesting. It's very interesting. The stock price is looking for bigger numbers, 100%. So just to wrap up the conversation with Palantir, I think it's a very interesting place where we find ourselves right now, where we haven't even got to this quarterly, and Palantir has jumped dramatically pre-quarterly release of Monday, 3 days before. Essentially this was 2 days ago, before this market ends this week, based off this partnership with Nvidia. The more and more that thing festers over there and gets talked about, that's just going to pump up what's going on already. It's very interesting, really. I mean, it's crazy. So Monday is the day, okay? And obviously, I'm going to be yapping my gums here over the weekend about Palantir. There's actually more stocks next week that I'm very interested in releasing quarterlies than there were this week. Obviously, this week was pretty heavy-handed, but next week I think is a lot more of blue-collar stocks where there's more cheaper, bigger opportunity stocks releasing next week. So that's going to be really a big week, I think, for a lot of people here. And friends, to talk about SoFi, I've said this and I'll say it again. I do think that this is going to be one of the best holds here into 2026. I really do believe that. I have given my thesis on what I think the stock is going to do. It's going to be a spectacular stock to hold in 2026. It's already showing, Palantir, SoFi here is showing you that it is ready for what's to come here in the banking sector, being a huge, it's already been an underdog in this market, 100%. It's showing you that it is going to do amazing things here with what's coming with business, with the stock, share price, everything. But undoubtedly with this right now is that this is a very unique situation where SoFi, more than likely what we're going to see this year is leapfrogging events, where every time the market gets a push, SoFi is going to go, and then there'll be a little bit of sell-up, and then be another big push up in the market. I think those are going to be leapfrog moments with SoFi, what we're looking at here this year. When talking about stock split with SoFi, I definitely think that's more than possible, but I definitely think that's a lot longer out. I talked about dividends too. I think dividends are very possible, but obviously too with that, SoFi has got to get a lot deeper pockets here with quarterlies, a lot more money in the bank. There's a lot more things that have to happen, but I think one of the biggest things that we could see here is that SoFi getting put in the S&P 500 and just the stock continuing to climb in revenue, maybe even push into almost another $1 billion in revenue next year, where we're seeing $2 billion in revenue. Now, that is really pushing it, obviously. More than likely, what we're seeing, I'm talking about quarterlies, obviously, but what we could possibly see is that SoFi here gets into a range by the summer of next year where it's producing, billion point five, billion point four with quarterlies. I don't think that's crazy. If they continue with this aggression, it's really going to do something amazing here. And I think it's still highly undervalued. I still think it's a complete underdog, and there's a lot of meat left on the bone there for people, 100%. Friends, take care of yourself. I will talk to you soon. Best of luck today in this market. Let's wrap it up and see what happens. Bye, everyone.